where we last left off. On the last episode, basically speaking, certain things happen differently. What do I mean by that? It's the fact being that the first movie's events happened genuinely kind of the same, but just a few alterations. And, Nana Shimura was there. Yes. Not only that, the fact being that certain things had to change a bit, certain things had to be kind of switched around. I'm just saying, if you want to know what happened in the last video, just go over there, go watch it. It's pretty good. Also, by the way, we got to the second movie at the end of everything, where they're on the island and all that, with the whole events going on. Just a little differently, because for the fact being, Deku's not there. He's not there. He's still leading the clone army on the main homeland of Japan. And not only that fact being, technically speaking, he has other people leading certain army members, like Kirishima, Tetsu, and Shinso, in certain ways. And technically speaking, this is a joint operation of them to learn more with the clones and all that. Not only that fact being, the second thing is Commander Thorn, the motherfucking clone trooper, that motherfucking legend. In this timeline, he's not dead. He's alive. Maybe. You'll never know. But besides that fact being, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, keep an eye out. Maybe I may change something. But again, they got to the point where they got to the kids, during that one phone call where the kid, called them for that reason. But for that fact being, let's get into the story and let's hopefully catch up where we last left off. Commander Thorn looks at the child and he says, Kirishima, was this the reason why you had to get here so fast? Kirishima looks at him and says, yeah. The boy's sister here called us for some weird reason. I guess to test us, really? Commander Thorn has his hand on his chin and he goes, I don't know, sir. But in the end of the day, it's just how it is. Maybe there's more to the story here that you can not see, sir. Kirishima's like, what do you mean? You want to explain to me, Captain? Commander Thorn says, yeah. Well, I have a sneaky suspicion that something happened with them that evolved heroes. Because think about it, who would leave two children all by themselves? Kirishima's like, yeah, you're right. Who would? And then Commander Thorn walks to the little boy and says, young man, is your sister protective of you because maybe a hero failed in the past or something? The little boy looks at him and says, yes. The sister comes in, though, and says, don't talk to my brother, looking like she's trying to protect him. Commander Thorn looks at her and says, it's alright, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just curious about something. That's all I'm trying to do, child. And besides that, the fact being is, I'm just very curious. But besides that, I'll leave you be. Then Commander Thorn goes back to Kirishima and tells him, my suspicions have been met. I have seen their looks. Sir, I think a hero has failed to save one of their family members in the past. Kirishima looks at him and says, huh. Well, that's new information for me, at least. Never thought about it that way. Thanks, Commander Thorn. Commander Thorn looks at him, salutes him, and says, don't mention it, sir. And besides that fact being, we time skip a bit. Where this time around, we take Bakugo's point of view of this. Clones don't really like Bakugo. You can tell. He doesn't know why they don't like him, but they don't like him. Most of them outright are even rude towards him, which, in the end, he doesn't know why. But besides that fact being that he has to work with them, makes him mad. He doesn't really like them for many reasons. They remind him too much of, well, Deku, as he calls him. And that's when a clone trooper comes by him and says, "Oh, are you the kid still thinking that he's going to be the number one hero? Please give up on your dream. That's something impossible." Bakugo turns around and looks at him and says, "What did you say?" The trooper looks at him and says, "You heard me. And besides, we're on the same side. No point of you trying to fight me, is it? Or are you too mentally unstable for that? Like what you did to your friend?" Bakugo stops for a moment, looks at him and says, "Wait, how the hell do you know that?" And the trooper looks at him and says, just a hunch, I guess." After the trooper says that, he walks away. Bakugo is conflicted. That's when we skip a little bit to a different person's point of view. We cut to another point of view of Commander Thorn. He's getting a comm link of Izuku, and he says, "Sir, you have called me for?" Izuku says, "Yes, Commander Thorn. I am going to send you a small detachment of clone commandos and a few ARC troopers. I don't know why, but I have a unfeeling disturbance that something bad is going to happen. So they're going to arrive in 2 days. So for now, just keep up the line with your troops and with your commander. Please tell him I sent this message to you, okay? And not only that, Commander Thorn, I also have a sneaky suspicion that certain things are going to happen. Like they're going to go after something. My question is, have you, particularly met this man's children?" As he puts something on screen, Izuku does. Commander Thorn widens his eyes and he says, "Yes, sir. Those kids, I have met them not too long ago. The other day, they have called us under the guise of testing or something." Izuku smirks and he says, "Oh, so they tested you. How pretty funny." And at this point, I guess. But besides that, you know what? I'm gonna send Kendo. She's been asking me to send her to do certain missions, and I feel like this is a golden opportunity for me to, test her in a way. But hey, make sure you keep an eye out for those kids, alright? I have a weird suspicion that they're going to be important. But, like I'm going to say, protect that man's kids, because in the end, something's gonna happen, Trooper. Alright? Commander Thorn salutes Izuku and he says, "Sir, yes, sir." Then the comm link disconnects, and this is when we time skip a little bit, because for the fact being, it's just how it is. So we're going to time skip a little bit past 1 day, and Class 1A and the Coruscant Guard have been getting to know these people. And this is when Kirishima and Commander Thorn have their meeting, because it's very important. And what they're basically talking about is, the reinforcements that basically Izuku sent. Commander Thorn basically said, "Sir, Kirishima, our Chancellor, the clones, obviously, has sent us reinforcements, sir. He has sent us some commandos, and he has also sent us some ARC troopers. And not only that, the Miss Supreme Captain of, our Chancellor's army, she is coming here." And Kirishima's like, "What? She's coming here? Why?" Commander Thorn looks at him and says, "Well, sir, so our Supreme Chancellor wanted to, test her in a way more. And he thought it would be a good opportunity to send her here." That is all he has told me. Hiroshima looks at him and says, so why has he sending reinforcements and all that? He didn't tell me. Commander Ford says, he is sending reinforcements because, for the fact being that we have to protect those children. You know, the ones that have sent us that weird fake call? Yes, we have to send our troops to protect them. We had a disturbing talk during this opportunity that their father has been attacked. Luckily for them, he has not been killed, sir. But in the end, my captain, he has informed us that he's been attacked by somebody who has struck in resemblance to a very powerful villain. So, we have to defend those children. Because, for the fact being, he is coming here, sir. And not only that, he has planned a lot more this time. He has people with him. So, our Supreme Chancellor had to send reinforcements, sir. Hiroshima's like, what? Really? That's the reason? I guess. Man, not so manly. And Commander Thorne says, I agree, sir. But in the end, that's our duty, isn't it? As, well, heroes and clone troopers. But don't worry. We're going to get to the bottom of this. And we will end up on top, sir. Hiroshima looks at him and says, yeah, I agree with that, Commander Thorne. But maybe we should come up with a plan. Maybe we can get Momo. Or, well, like everyone else from Class 1A, we can come up with a plan. Commander Thorne looks at him and says, well, sir, in the end of the day, it's up to you whatever we choose to do, sir. So if you choose to bring your classmates along with this, I will not oppose, because you are all heroes, sir. It is up to you at the end of the day. We, the Coruscant Guard, were told to work with you, and with all of you. So at the end of the day, Commander, it is up to you whatever you choose for us to do. If we work with all of them, then we will, sir. But in the end of the day, it's up to you, my commander. Kiroshima's like, good. We're gonna work with class. We're gonna tell Class 1A about this, and we're going to come up with a plan, good plan to win, and to make sure none of the civilians get hurt in the crossfire. Commander Thorne looks at him and says, I agree with that, sir. Who is making up the plan? And Hiroshima looks at him and says, we're going to get Ida and Momo to make up this plan. They're the smart ones here. And I believe that they can come up with something better than I could ever come up with. Freaking Commander Thorne looks at him and says, sir, do not bring yourself down that much. You are a good commander. It's just you don't think certain ways. And Hiroshima looks at him and says, thank you, Thorne. Alright, let's go, Commander Thorne. Hiroshima and Commander Thorne go and get the others so they can talk about this. Throughout their whole talk, they're practically talking about how they can make up a plan here to not, well, bring people in danger, and also for the fact being they want to protect the child and his sister, because that is the target of these villains that, well, the Chancellor himself told this batch of clones. Why did he tell the rest of Class 1A, you might be asking? Logically, it makes more sense, because at this point, the clones and the heroes are working like the Jedi and the clones, in a way. But certain degrees is a little different. But besides that fact being is, certain point of this, they've just been talking throughout the whole time, coming up with a plan. And practically, their plan is simple. Protect the children, hide the rest of the island citizens underneath a cave system that is on the island, and use some of the clones to keep the civilians safe while others help with the defense and the counter against these villains that are going to attack. which some of the clones have to be using certain vehicles. See where I'm going with this. And practically, this whole plan came up with Ida and Momo. So give them a round of applause. Beautiful, I know. So they start setting up certain things for, well, the attack that's going to happen, practically. So they have it planned how they're going to win. So they start setting it up. The clones have set up a few, like, little light tanks, in a way, and a few light walkers. Reason why I'm not saying the walker's name, completely forgot. Just letting it out. Should be on screen now. But yeah, they set a few of them up around the city, just in case, while the Coruscant Guard and a few of Class 1A are evacuating the rest of the civilians to the underground shelters. While they're doing that, practically, Commander Thorn looks at, practically speaking, Ida, and he says, "Sir, what do you think that is going to happen? You are their last president. In the end, sir." Ida looks at him and says, "Well, in the end, I hope we win. Or, like, at least last out until reinforcements can arrive. That's the one thing." Commander Thorn says, "Yeah, but you gotta believe. Because in the end of the day, heroes and clone troopers working together, we can do anything." Ida smiles at him and he says, "You know what? You're right, Commander Thorn. I'm surprised that Japan's government worked with your, well, chancellor to instate you as officials and all that. Like, official helpers, I guess? Or what would you be ranked in a way?" Commander Thorn looks at him and he says, "I don't really know how that type of stuff happens, but I know for a fact being that in the end of the day, without us, you heroes and the police would have been struggling a lot more than, well, things that would usually be out of your guys' control. But hey, in the end of the day, it's just how it is, isn't it? In the end of the day, it's just how it is, right?" Which that's what Commander Thorn says to Ida, and Ida says, "Yeah, I agree. Because in the end of the day, without you clones, technically would have been more overwhelmed. Because before you clones, in the end of the day, heroes were kind of starting to get overwhelmed by a lot more villains showing up out of nowhere." Commander Thorn looks at him and says, "Yes, I agree. Ingenio. But in the end, it's just how it is, isn't it, sir?" And Ida says, "Yeah, I agree." After that little talk, then the hero students and the Coruscant Guard finish having the civilians practically go into the underground bunkers. And this is when, well, the all-for-one wannabe starts approaching the island with his little thugs. Well, I call them little thugs, but in the end of the day, it's just how it is, right? Because that's what I personally call them. And, oh yeah, sorry if my voice has been fluctuating. But anyway, we're going to get back to what we're actually talking about. So practically, yeah, a lot of people got to the underground bunkers. Wolfram and, or, no, one all-for-one guy and his thugs show up to the island. And they're kind of confused because there's no people around. They're like, "What's going on here?" Usually there will be people running around or running away in fear when you show up. But all of a sudden, there's nobody. And they're like confused by this until a few clone troopers show up out of nowhere and start shooting them. One of their members, a weird clock guy, tries to use his quirk on them. But here's the weird part. It doesn't work on their clothes at all. Because their clothes, it's not cloth. It's metal. And you would say, wait, but what about the other suit? It doesn't work on that because it's not the same type of fabric type stuff, you know? Because in the end of the day, it's just how it is. So really, what you gonna do, you know? But besides that fact, is certain things happen. The clones start attacking them. So that the weird animal type guy who's been concerned as a monster starts attacking them. He actually does kill a few clones. Not gonna lie, a few die. But more clone troopers start showing up until Todoroki, Ida, and whoever else goes in to stop him, usually in canon. But we cut off to Izuku experiencing a traumatic moment. What do I mean? He wakes up in the mind vision type escape thingy majig. He sees that one clone trooper again, and he says, "You know what, kid? I'm very surprised, but it's the second time I've seen you so far. You might be wondering, well, Midoriya, is it why I brought you here again? Well, simple, really. After a long time of us not chatting, certain things are gonna happen, man. Someone, someone I personally know is gonna come after you, kid. And I'm just letting you know, just in case. You might want to use your clones wisely, and don't waste them. Because every while I will produce a clone that is high quality. But if he dies, that's the only one that will exist. So, again, keep an eye on your clones. Because there's a lot of good ones. And I'm saying, this is not a final jackpot. So, be worried, kid. In the end, it's just how it is, isn't it? How the cookie crumbles. After he says that, Midoriya is like, what? What do you mean? And the mysterious clone, or, well, K, says, well, it's simple, kid. They die, they're gone forever. You can't reproduce them again. Because, again, they're like a jackpot, you know? Special type of clone. Can't be copied more than once. Because, again, even though they all share the same DNA, they're unique and special in their own ways. Just saying, kid. But I do recommend you join that battle where Kirishima is. It's going to be very interesting, alright, kid? And after that, that's where we're going to leave it off. I know, hate it, don't ya? That I'm just going to leave it off on this little cliffhanger, huh? Will Izuku win the battle? Will things happen? I don't know. We'll find out next time when I make the next part of these series. I may continue it, but I will let you guys know that I will finish other series on my other what ifs. Because for the fact being, it is annoying to work on every single one of them sometimes, which is my fault because I made so many. So some will be ending, some will be completely finished, their story will be done. But don't worry, there's always going to be new ones from you guys because I will pull up polls and all that. You just need to make sure you take part in them, and that will be the next what ifs I make. Just letting you know. And oh yeah, on screen you might see the video stuff. Check them out. These other what ifs are pretty good, and I ain't gonna lie. That's all I have to say to you guys, and peace.